Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki, Sean, and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 22, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and I am joined by my good friend Brian Hall.
How is everybody out there in Podcastville?
Wow. See that? Now I feel like you're too prepared, frankly.
Yeah. Actually, I just came up with that right now. When you were introducing me, I was like, oh crap, I have to be prepared again. And I didn't have anything ready to go.
And then it happened. You had this magic moment of possession.
But even though there was like a moment of space, I feel like I did hear everyone say back, we're good.
Unfortunately, Sean Coyle is not able to join us this week, but he's with us in spirit. He's looking down over us like Mufasa. Or Darth Vader. Or Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yes, exactly.
So, Brian, what's going on, man? What's new? I haven't talked to you in a little while.
I know. Well, I know it seems like every episode I say this, but things are wrapping up on the movie I'm working on.
I don't believe you. I think after the movie's out, you'll still be saying that.
At first, it was the actual film, and everything was locked, and now working on DVD features, and that's coming to a close, and this literally might be my last week. So,
wow. On the movie. On the movie. Just to clarify.
This might be, no. So it's, it's a bittersweet time. You work with these people for a long time, and they're all great people, and then you find your next adventure.
Wow. That is kind of sad. So are you on the DVD commentary?
No.
Oh.
No, I wanted to tell Louis to give me some sort of signal, like bop the microphone 3 times.
That's by the way, that's Louis Leterrier who's directing the
director.
Yeah, Brian's Hollywood douche sometimes comes out where he's on a first name basis with everybody.
Yeah, no,
me and Morgan were hanging out.
Yeah, no, you should never name drop, and George Clooney told me that. So
nice. So, as we do every week, we start things off with some listener letters, and we have a new review up on iTunes that I wanted to share with you.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is exciting. So this is a new review written by Departed Saint. So Mother Teresa is a fan of the show, it turns out.
Oh.
Yeah. And she/he says, "Thank you guys for putting up a quality show with a great runtime." A great runtime, so that's nice. As someone who spends a lot of time commuting, it's nice to have a podcast that will take up most of my drive. Also, as a new father, I enjoy the bits of parenting humor. That one, by the way, is directed right at me. It adds a nice layer to an already awesome show. I listen to a lot of movie-related podcasts and really enjoy listening to different opinions on new movies and movie news. This show has risen up into my top 5 movie podcasts. I haven't and won't miss I know, that's exciting. I haven't and won't miss a one. Thanks again, guys. Keep up the great work. So, thank you for that, Mother Teresa. That's exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
It's interesting.
Really nice to hear. Thank you.
That's super nice. I'm glad we've made it in the top 5, although I'm disappointed we're not the top. It feels like feels like a failure still.
Like, hey, you know what? That's something to aspire toward.
To aspire to. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because in our last episode I mentioned about how the wife and I are expecting another one, and I'm still coming to terms with it. And apparently I jumped the gun because basically my wife hadn't told anybody else, so she started getting random texts from friends who were like, "Congratulations!" And so I get this text from her like, "Did you announce the baby on the podcast?" Like 3 exclamation points. And I'm kind of like, yeah. She's like, "I'm getting texts from all these people," and I'm like, "Well, great. That means they listen to the show." Like, I'm very happy.
See, it's not. These aren't podcast listeners. This is a podcast family.
That's right. Exactly. Right. So, and it's funny because I kind of occasionally I'll equate my wife to Marge Simpson. And by the way, just to clarify, that's not an insult towards her, because really, if she's Marge Simpson, that makes me Homer Simpson. So really, it's self-deprecating. But you know,
Marge was a good mother.
Well, and not only is she a good mother, if you watch the universe of the show, Marge is actually super hot.
Yeah. Within that universe,
in the context of the show,
everyone looks to her like, yeah,
you know. So I tell my wife via text, I'm like, "It's great, everybody's listening to the show, it's fantastic," and she texts me back. I swear to God. But it's funny how like arguments are now carried out via text. Like this is I feel like, you know, this happened to me last week, and this to me is like my iPhone getting a little bit presumptuous, right? Because you know how autocorrect works, it fills in stuff, but what autocorrect also does, and I didn't realize this, is that it fills in abbreviations.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I didn't know this. So I'm like driving home, and my wife texts me, and she's like, "Oh, you know, when are you going to be back? I got to go to whatever." And I was like 5 minutes away, so I just text. I'm like sitting at a stoplight, so just very quickly I just type in OMW. You know, I'm on my way. Now, little do I realize that iTunes, jumping the gun a little bit, fills it in, but it doesn't just fill it in and say "on my way." It fills it in with an exclamation point.
On my way.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm texting "on my way," and she gets "on my way." So
that's really weird that the punctuation that it chose that for you.
Little presumptuous. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I get back this text like, "Okay, sorry, I'm just asking," and it turns in. So now I have to like pull over, and be like, "Well," and bear in mind I'm like a block away from home. So I text back. I'm like, "Sorry that I didn't type that exclamation point in. That's the iPhone jumping the gun." And I have this long explanation. I'm like, this is added effort now. And I feel like iPhone is trying to start some shit in my relationship. That's I don't know what's happening.
That kind of makes me think, you know, you make a family sitcom, and it seems like now if you're replicating that situation that just happened to you, you wouldn't have a back and forth between two people in a room. It would almost be like one 30-minute episode of like the end of Doogie Howser, how he'd always like type on his keyboard. And it's just like click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Like that would be all the drama now. It's just click, clack.
But it would sound better because you'd have that Doogie Howser typing music.
Yeah,
yeah. And then you ever notice like he would sit there typing, and they'd always cut back, and he'd be sitting there for that like perfect thought, and then they'd kind of show the reaction.
He'd lean back, sort of realize exactly what he wanted to say, smirk, and go back to the keyboard. Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a weird show because they still show reruns of that. And like,
really?
I mean, on the Hub, which I don't know if you guys get the Hub.
No.
The Hub is for people like us who've never really like left the 90s or 80s. So basically, if you want a nightly diet of Family Ties, Facts of Life, and Doogie Howser, then and Who's the Boss, this is the channel for you.
I'll have to call my local cable provider.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make that happen. So, as we do every week, we tend to talk about new releases, and we got a big new release to talk about with Star Trek Into Darkness, but we'll save that for the spoilerific part of our show. I wanted to briefly mention Great Gatsby, which I have seen, but Brian, have you seen The Great Gatsby?
I have not, unfortunately, but that is something I will be getting around to seeing.
Oh, okay. Well, are you interested in seeing it, or is it kind of like you feel like compelled? The power of Leo compels you to.
No, I'm interested. Excuse me. I was in my car a lot for a week of work, and so I was like, well, I need a book on tape, and I passed Warner Brothers. They had a huge Great Gatsby poster, and I was like, well, I haven't read that since high school. Like, I'll listen to it and sort of, you know, see what it is. Remember what it is, and then I'll go see this sort of bombastic, crazy interpretation and just sort of see how they compare.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have the book fresh in my mind right now.
Oh, good,
so
okay.
I'm curious to see the film.
Well, if a drunken wino read the book and fell asleep, Baz Luhrmann's The Great Gatsby is the alcohol-induced nightmare he would have. That's how I would describe it.
All right.
It's worth seeing. You know what? I'm not going to say that it's a horrible movie because it's actually very well made, but it is just so out there. But I will say the 3D was great because I really felt like I was in the room with them as they were sitting and talking.
Well, all right. That's my next question is, I didn't remember it super well from high school. So when I was listening to it, it's not a lot of parties. There are parties.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of human drama going on.
Yeah.
So my question is, I mean, is there style to those scenes as well?
Here's what Lerman does, and in my opinion, it's a mistake, but I get it because it's kind of his deal. That's how he does stuff. He makes everything look like the party scenes that he films, where it's just very over the top and almost artificial looking. Everything looks like it's shot on a blue screen.
Okay.
And I thought it was a little too much. But, some people seem to really like it. I don't see the driving artistic need to shoot it in 3D, but that's kind of his deal. I will say that Leonardo DiCaprio's head seems to get wider with every movie that he's in.
This is you say this. I have not noticed. I will take it.
Maybe because the IMAX 3D or whatever. But there are points in the movie where he looks like a Dick Tracy villain. Where it's just this enormous head and this little face in the middle, All
right. Oh, well, I want to hear about Carey Mulligan, because I read several reviews that said she was miscast.
Yeah, totally agree.
But I have no idea, but I feel like from the book, it seems like she would be perfect. So
okay, well, the character in the book is not a likable character.
Right.
She's a horrible person, and I think that's the irony of the whole thing, is that Gatsby creates this fictional life for himself. He does all of it for this woman who is just a horrible person.
Right.
So to that extent, she plays that part. I don't know that you can make the character likable.
Right.
So to that point, my issue with her is I just feel like she just seems too young. I think what I wrote in my review is that and to an extent, Tobey Maguire, who by the way is no spring chicken, he's almost 40.
Right.
But they both feel like kids who are dressing up in their parents' clothes.
Right. Well, because she would probably, the age where she first meets Gatsby, she would probably look like she looks now.
Right, exactly.
Rather than, right? Yeah.
Well, she's 27. So,
yeah.
Maybe she just needed a few more years under her belt. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that of the cast, I think DiCaprio comes out the best, just because this is kind of in his wheelhouse. And then I thought Joel Edgerton does a really good job.
I can see that.
Yeah. And that guy is I'm surprised he's not a bigger star, because I think he's a really talented actor.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I saw him was in episode 2 of Star Wars.
Yeah, playing Uncle Owen.
Uncle Owen, which is even in like just the acting on his face was like, what am I doing in this movie?
Yeah.
But he was in a movie called Warrior. Did you see that? I did. That was surprisingly good, I thought.
Yeah, that was really good.
But other new releases.
Wait, we should say one last thing about Gatsby is we were all sort of debating, wondering how it was going to do.
Oh, yes,
and did pretty good.
It's done very well. Yeah, it opened with more than $50 million over the weekend. Over its opening weekend, and it's actually, I want to pull up the box.
I haven't seen today's yet, but I was really I knew it would do well. I didn't know that it would do that well. Certainly, its opening weekend. That's pretty amazing.
The counter programming seems to have really paid off.
Yeah,
which is what we were we were debating that last time. It's as domestically, it's made $90 million against a budget of $105 million. So it's already well on its way to profitability. It's made $130 million worldwide.
So people were thinking it was predicted to top out at like
90,
80 or 90. Yeah. So, wow.
They were counting on international to save it, but it looks like it's gonna I mean, 105 million. It'll probably make 150 million at least domestically.
Wow.
So not too shabby.
There you go.
Yeah. So not too shabby on that. Another new release that I saw, and this is straight to video, but I've mentioned these before, is a straight to Blu-ray movie called Superman Unbound.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the latest in the series of animated movies that DC puts out and Time Warner, and I really want to recommend this. This is easily one of the best of these animated movies that they've put out, and the timing is actually great because I watched it just last week, and it really primes the pump for Man of Steel next month. Really fantastic. It's an adaptation of a story called Brainiac. So this is Superman's first encounter with the supervillain Brainiac, who, by the way, we've never seen in a movie because they're too busy with General Zod and Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
But it stars Matt Bomer as the voice of Superman. Matt Bomer stars on White Collar, which is a TV show, and Stana Katic, who stars on a TV show called Castle with Nathan Fillion. She's the voice of Lois Lane. But very solid. I mean, I've seen every single one of these animated flicks, and this is right up there. This is one of the best ones. So I would, and I know Brian. I would definitely recommend you check it out. Cool.
All right. Yeah.
Just 'cause.
I've always enjoyed these. DC straight to DVD things.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool what they do because they reinvent them with each new release. So they have brand new character designs, they have brand new cast, and it really lets them switch things up, And they've been doing them for like 6 years now, which is crazy because the first one was in fall of 2007.
Oh wow!
So I mean, they've put out a ton of these,
Yeah,
they've done a nice job. A couple headlines to discuss, and really there are some clarifications from previous weeks. Jurassic Park 4, we were talking about that in the previous episode, and as it turns out, the insanely tight production schedule was too much for them because they've delayed it.
Yeah.
Indefinitely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we had an email chain going on this week about that, and everyone was saying no.
Right.
And I'm bummed, but I feel almost that's to its benefit. I would rather they take the time to slow down, get it right, and put out the movie everybody wants. So I think, I hope it doesn't go away.
Right.
But I say, yeah, take your time and get it right.
Well, that's my question. I mean, is this a polite way of saying it's never going to happen?
Yeah, it's possible.
Man, I hope not. For my kid's sake, if nothing else. Jeez, he's got all his marbles resting on Jurassic Park 4.
Well, they got pretty far along. I mean, doesn't it seem like when things are just completely thrown out the window, it's like in some sort of script phase where they just sort of toss their hands up in the air. But
right.
I mean, we talked about last time, they're already location scouting, and
so I mean, what do you think the one assumes it's just a delay. What do you think the delay is about?
Well, a lot of times they say creative differences. That seems to be a common excuse.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe that is it. I mean, you bring in a director at the very last second.
Yeah.
And it's not as easy as you can't just jump in and drive.
Right.
There are a lot of decisions to be made, and casting even. Maybe they haven't nailed casting down yet.
Right.
It's for a movie like this, it's important.
So do you see them pushing it to 2015?
It seems, it seems like online there was a positive response to all this. Sometimes there's something and no one cares, and it goes away and no one cares. But it seemed like everyone was kind of into this.
Okay. So
I wouldn't be surprised if this picked up again.
Yeah.
I think it'd be wise. Why not? I mean, well,
right.
Actually, I'm pretty confident because it's a franchise, and that's what they want. They want to reboot a franchise and breathe new life into it.
Now, do you have any insight? Was the re-release considered a disappointment? Was it considered a success?
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good because, I mean, most of the time these 3D re-releases come out, they make, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 million. This one made over 40.
Yeah, and it's like found money for them, basically.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. Now, actually, related to the idea of re-releases, we mentioned last time about how they were planning to re-release Independence Day to 3D.
Yeah.
And Paul Shirey brought to my attention that plan has actually been canceled.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and it was actually canceled last fall, so we're extremely behind on that. But
Really? All right.
yeah. So everything we said last week doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah, but Roland Emmerich has been talking up sequels.
Now, okay, so I mean, is there room for a sequel to Independence Day? Is there interest in a sequel for Independence Day?
I don't think there's like a burning fervor.
Yeah.
But
Burning Fervor, which is a band, by the way. It's one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, opening Coachella next week. I feel like, yeah, I think there's a good version of that. Sure,
but there's also a horrible version of that.
Most definitely. But I don't know. I really do feel like there's a hit version of that. Well, and you just got to get it right and take your time.
I would assume that any possibility of a sequel hinges on Will Smith.
Yeah.
I mean,
unless you get like some, say like Channing Tatum or someone like of the now, the Will Smith of the now. He's not there yet, but he's kind of the flavor of the month, and people are really digging him. And well, I don't mean flavor of the month. I think he's going to last longer than that. But you know what I'm saying? Like you get the guy who's like hot right now,
yeah,
and you put him in the thing you want to breathe new life into, and yeah, sure,
see what happens.
Yeah.
Last I heard was that Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, they wanted to do 2 sequels. So ID 5 and ID 6. I don't know what they would be called, but it would be like a 2-part thing. And I don't know. I have not revisited Independence Day fully, for probably around 10 years. So and for all I know, there is a passion for a sequel. I don't know, but I am curious to see what ends up happening with that.
Yeah.
There were some TV finales this week. Did you happen to see the Office finale?
No. I actually had to do some traveling this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
I missed it. Did you see it?
I started it, and I didn't finish it, but I do have it on my DVR. But I did see they had a retrospective special kind of before it ended. Mm-hmm. And it made me realize that they save the retrospective before the finale for like the cream of the crop shows.
Uh-huh.
There's only certain shows, and I was like, wow. After The Office, NBC basically has nothing.
Yeah.
So they must be in panic. Like what other show do they have on the air right now that would be retrospective worthy?
They're having a hard time finding anything that lands on that network.
I saw the fall preview for what they have coming up, and one of the shows they have is Ironside. And
what's that?
Well, Ironside was a TV show that starred Raymond Burr. And I believe it was in the 70s, where he plays a cop who's in a wheelchair.
Okay.
Like that's the show.
Yeah.
He's Ironside. And it's like, where's Ironside? I'm here, and he's in a wheelchair. He's like Joe. It's like the Joe Swanson.
Right.
And they've got Blair Underwood as Ironside, And I was just I feel bad for Blair Underwood, because it's just like, this show's going to be canceled in like 6 episodes.
It's funny. I don't even know if this is just an NBC thing, but I feel that about like almost every show. Like these shows will have these pretty cool premises.
Yeah.
And I'll tune into the pilot, and I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna last.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even gonna invest into this.
Right.
I remember The Event. Like a year or two ago.
The non-event.
I watched a couple of those, and I was like, this is. It was enough to keep me coming back. It wasn't great, but it was like, it's not going to be around. And then the Terra Nova, right, on Fox, people, and it was like, this is pretty interesting, but like, it's not going to last. So
isn't that depressing?
I'm very skeptical of what I give my time to now.
No, that's
totally
I feel like
true. Most of the shows that I watch now are shows that, like my shows right now, which are like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, whatever. Those are all things that were recommended to me. So I didn't put myself out there with those things. People were saying, you got to watch this, and I watched it, and they were right. So it just seems like I'm kind of wary. I don't launch with a lot of shows.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. What tends to happen with me is that if more than 2 or 3 episodes accumulate on my DVR, then I assume that I'm never going to watch them. And so I just because I gave Hannibal a shot, which Hannibal, by the way, we talked about a few weeks ago, and we're like, oh, it's going to start in the summer. Yeah. Actually, it started like the week after we talked about it. And the first episode is actually pretty good, and I hear good things about the show. But again, it's like, well, is it going to come back? We don't know.
Right.
Off you go. You know.
Yeah.
It's a little depressing.
Yeah.
I know that as it pertains to TV shows, Arrow has been very successful on the CW, which is, that's the Green Arrow show. Based on the DC comics. So based on that success, they're now developing Amazon, which is not about the jungle. It's about Wonder Woman as a teenager or something like that.
So it'll take place on the island.
One assumes, yeah. I guess. Well, actually, you know what? I don't think it would, because there's no show there, because it would just be her and a bunch of chicks discovering life and discovering each other. Actually, that would be a great show, now that I think about it.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, NBC recently just did the Wonder Woman
They had
pilot,
the
right?
pilot. They had the Wonder Woman pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I saw part of it, and it starred Adriana Palicki, who is in G.I. Joe Retaliation, and it was developed by David E. Kelly.
Yeah.
Which is just friggin' weird, and it sounds like what you would get if you give Wonder Woman to David E. Kelly.
I actually did see it.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
And
okay.
it's exactly what you think it is. Like, she's this high-powered businesswoman by day, fights crime by night, can't find love that'll work.
It's
it was
Diana McBeal.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's his name? Carrie Elways is in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I watched it. I don't remember.
He's not even like the love interest. That's kind of sad. Like, it's like the world has passed Carrie Elways by to the point where he's the older male sidekick who,
Yeah. And then he's just like, as you wish, and she's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, push him out.
It's a little depressing. Yeah. So I don't know if the Wonder Woman show will happen, but I do feel like a lot of people are going to tune into a show called Amazon, and they'll be very disappointed because they'll be expecting.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they can order random products.
Yeah, exactly. Or a show about the jungle. Like, it could go either way.
Well, do you think the WB has been doing these superhero shows for a while now with, it seems like, success? So you feel pretty... Yeah.
Well,
you have some optimism for this?
I think I feel like a Wonder Woman as a character is inherently a hard sell. Mm-hmm. I feel like Wonder Woman is worth more as a merchandisable property than as a dramatic force. I mean, there's a reason they can't get a movie made because she looks like a stripper.
Right.
I mean that's
you'd have to update her a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a way around the fact. Like, in the 70s there was the Linda Carter TV show. I don't know if you ever watched that. But
like reruns. I don't remember.
I mean, you've at least seen pictures, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like somebody who shows up at a bachelor party.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then that goes back to the Batman costume thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
Where, Sean wants to see a movie where he's actually wearing like a gray suit.
Leotard.
Kind of thing again. Leotard. Yeah, but I don't think we can go back. He needs to be wearing armor. That's the only thing people accept. So he adapted. He adapted into something that sort of made sense. So
yeah.
Maybe they could do the same with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things, like, how much can you change her and still have her be that same character?
Yeah, you just put her in like a workout tee and yoga pants.
Didn't they do that in the David E. Kelly show? That seems like something they would.
Yeah. No. Yeah, she had a pretty similar costume actually.
Yeah. Well, was she good? I mean, I like I said, I only saw clips.
Oh, I don't know. She wasn't given anything to stretch with.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just playing a really bad interpretation. So. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, totally.
She just had to sit around her apartment with her cats and pine, and then go out and look tough. And I mean, that was like, I wish I was kidding, but if she was in something that was a little deeper, I don't really know. I know she was on Friday Night Lights, right? Which I have not seen a lot of. And,
yeah.
it seems like everybody in that show was good. So I'm sure she's got.
Yeah, that show launched
probably
a lot of
underused.
careers, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like Taylor Kitsch. Will his star ever stop rising? He's the modern day Judd Nelson, Taylor Kitsch. So. Oh, poor Taylor Kitsch. I feel bad saying that. I did like John Carter, just to clarify. Other news. Well, Star Wars news. We don't really have any new Star Wars news, but Brian, I passed this story along to you earlier in the week about the small fortune that Steven Spielberg has made off of Star Wars, even though he had no say in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now that's kind of an interesting story. Can you share that?
Yeah. Well, the story goes that Spielberg was working on Close Encounters, and I guess So yes, he was working on Close Encounters at the same time that George Lucas was working on Star Wars, and
that's right.
For anyone who knows a lot about Star Wars history, like he had a really rough go of it. His crew wasn't very kind to him. People were seeing footage and not really thinking it was going to amount to anything, and he was feeling sort of depressed. So he went and visited his friend Steven Spielberg, and I think he saw the set with the huge ship at the landing strip, and was like, "This movie is going to be massive. Like my movie's going to tank." And Steven was like, "No, your movie's going to be massive." He's like, "Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we swap points? So I get 2 points from whatever your box office is, and you get 2 points from whatever my box office is."
That's
and then,
right.
of course, we know how that story ends. And Spielberg to this day has made several millions of dollars off of Star Wars.
He's made, this is and this is per the Celebrity Net Worth. He's made $46.675 million off of Star Wars.
For having nothing to do with it.
For having nothing to do with it, and only the first movie, yeah. So that story, it's just like a fun little neat tidbit that pisses me off. I think it's neat that what's a few million between friends? $50 million essentially.
I like all those stories.
I do too,
about
yeah.
like there's a lot of little stories like that about Lucas and Spielberg, and another one is I think it was when Star Wars was opening. Lucas likes to escape.
Right.
To have to avoid all the box office news, and so they went to Hawaii together, and they were I swear I read this, like they were making like castles in the sand, just like playing around, and that's where they hatched Indiana Jones. Well, Lucas already had the character, but he's like, yeah, I want to tell you about this character I'm thinking about, and that's where Raiders of the Lost Ark came from.
Nice.
So it's just you just think about these guys, and now they're icons, moguls, but just thinking of them as these young idealistic filmmakers,
right,
hatching characters that we will love for the rest of our lives.
Well, yeah, I mean it's interesting. Yeah, I mean that aspect of being young and sort of having the world in front of you. I mean, we think of them as these moguls now, and you realize, well, they were just kids at one time too. Kids with a dream.
Yeah,
there's something to that. On that note, actually, related to that, I had a chance to talk to Sarah Polley last week, actually. And Sarah Polley, for those of you who don't know, she's an actor. She's been a very successful actor all her life, but she's also a director. And she directed a new movie called Stories We Tell, which is a documentary based on an event that happened in her life, and her sharing this this event and offering different perspectives of the people that it affected. And it's a very powerful, poignant story with some real interesting dramatic twists that I don't want to ruin. But I would say this is one of the biggest, most pleasant surprises I've had all year. And so I had a chance to talk to Sarah Polley about it, and I thought I'd share some of that chat with you guys.
First of all, thank you for talking to us for our show. I just saw the documentary a couple days ago, so very fresh. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about the arc of your career, because it's I see a lot of very eclectic choices, and I think the choices that you've made for your career, both as an actor and as a director, reflect a kind of maturity. And I'm curious about what moves you in those particular directions. What moves you to choose the projects you choose to act in, and what moves you as a director to choose what story you want to tell?
Well, I'm not a hugely ambitious person, so it means I can make choices really according to what the project is. I don't generally have a kind of overall plan or an overall strategy for a career. And it also means that I don't really want to work. If I can possibly help it, I'd like to not work unless it's something I really believe in, or I'm excited about, or I think will kind of teach me something, or be a departure from something I've done before. So I guess as an actor, probably before I made films myself, I would mostly choose things according to the script. And then I think as I started to make my own short films, I realized the most important thing for me was to work with filmmakers I was interested in and excited about. I don't really have a lot of preciousness around what genre I work in. I mean, I think generally I gravitate towards more independent films because that's probably what I go to see the most. Mm-hmm. But every now and then I'm really interested in sort of seeing what the world of genre looks like and how people are working in such a different way, on a film like Dawn of the Dead or Splice, and just to sort of see, what that world looks like out of curiosity. And then as a filmmaker, I think that it's a lot more obvious, and I have a lot of ideas all the time, but the ones that you actually find yourself going through with, you're going through with because you can't stop thinking about, and you get too excited, and it gives you butterflies in your stomach. And I think it's as instinctual as that, but certainly with the films I've written and directed, I think there are some common themes around, issues of memory and storytelling and, finding the truth in the past.
So with Stories We Tell, it's what my immediate emotional reaction was. I felt like I was being allowed behind the curtain in a way, and it strikes me that for a lot of certainly for a lot of performers, there's this dichotomy between the private self and the public self, and the public self is what we project, whereas the private self we tend to keep hidden. So I thought it was interesting that you, as a filmmaker, chose to take us behind that curtain. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if you could walk us through that a little bit. What led you to that point where you said, this is a story that I want to share, that I want people to know?
Sure. I mean, I think when the events that the film is based on happened in my life, I don't think I was particularly interested in making a film about it. In fact, I know I wasn't. I think what made me really excited about the idea of making a film was watching how we were all telling the story. Watching how I was telling the story, my father was telling the story, my biological father was telling the story, my siblings. I think that became a source of real fascination to me, that we were all needing to create a narrative out of this mess, and that our narratives were different from each other's, that there were different versions of the same events. Almost within minutes of somebody learning about the story, they had slightly changed the story to suit their own purposes. And I got really interested in how we do that as human beings, but also specifically within families, how so many of us will have completely different versions of the same events in our past and be so committed to those versions.
So as I would assume that when you make the leap from being an actor to a director, there's a new skill set that you have to internalize. And I would assume that going from narrative filmmaker to documentarian, there's a whole new set of skills.
Absolutely.
So what was the leap from first to becoming a director and then becoming a documentarian like for you? What was that learning curve like?
Well, I think they were similar in the sense that both transitions involved a terrible sinking realization that nothing I had done in the past was preparing me for what I was doing now. So, I think when I first made my first short film, I assumed since I'd been on set my entire life that I would know a lot, or I would have just naturally, by osmosis figured out how to make a film. And in fact, I knew nothing. I knew nothing about the way a scene was covered. I knew nothing about the way a film was cut. I think most of a filmmaker's job is basically invisible to actors if they're doing their job well. Like you kind of have your image ahead of time. You don't bother them with those details. You're just sort of concentrating on them and their performances, in front of them. So I feel like I had learned very little, and I really had to start from scratch and learn from a very, very basic point of view how to make a film. And then again, moving into documentaries, I think it's so funny that it's so much easier for narrative filmmakers to get funding for documentaries and harder for documentary filmmakers to make the transition, because I think it's so much harder to make a documentary than it is to make a fictional film. So yeah, to have to kind of learn that over again and to kind of like get accustomed to the idea of not being able to control everything, things not going exactly the way you imagine, with it being able to follow stories or tangents that may not have seemed essential at first, that then become, more focal to the piece.
Right. Well, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the decision to make this as a documentary, again, it feels to me like it like I said, it robs you of that cover a little bit. So that was a choice that you made. You could have gone in the narrative route, but you chose this to be a documentary. What was the thinking behind that?
I never really really considered it as a narrative feature because I felt like it would invariably be less complex. And what I loved about it was the kind of mess of it and the complexity of all of these multiple perspectives and wondering what was real, wondering what wasn't real. So I think that from the beginning, I never conceived it as anything. There were moments where I had an even more complex idea where it was going to be like, it's going to be a fictional film about making a documentary about my family. It's like, it's getting like too much. But, I think that it was always in my head that this would be, an experimental documentary.
And what have you learned in terms of making documentaries that you can pay forward for your next narrative film?
I think that I got a lot better at admitting what I didn't know and also at kind of being present and discovering things in the moment and trusting my collaborators on this documentary in a way I hadn't before. And so I feel like that can only be a help when I make my next, narrative fictional film, is to just let things happen a little bit more. As opposed to control.
And you've been directing for a little while now. Has that impacted the roles that you pick as an actor? Or do you just kind of put them in separate boxes, like this is my actor side, this is my director side, or is there an overlap? Do you want to direct yourself?
I don't think so. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out in the future, but it's something that in the past I've ruled out, and I'm not in a hurry to do. I think I really love making a film and being behind a camera and not having to think about being on camera. And when I'm, in a film, I like being able to, just be part of somebody else's vision and find out what they want. So, I think it's hard, the idea of combining them, but I wouldn't rule it out at some point.
And what do you have coming up, both as a filmmaker and an actor?
I'm adapting Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood, so I'm writing that. And as an actor, I'm going to be in a Wim Wenders film in the summer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So definitely keeping busy. And what do you see for the film? Where do you want to see it go next? For Stories We Tell?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just excited that it's kind of out in the world, and I'm getting to have discussions about it, and people are responding to it, and
the reaction has been really great.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed over the past couple of days reading other people's reactions to it and seeing the interpretation. So they're
very different from each other. That's what I'm finding the most fascinating is people come out having seen totally different films. And that's kind of exciting to see what people saw. And they're all, once again, everyone's so committed to their version of what they think the film was or what we were trying to say. It's just fascinating.
Well, it's a great metaphor for just, the kind of the Rashomon effect.
Yeah.
That's great, though. Yeah, well, I appreciate you talking to us about it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, no, I've heard good things about this. I've read, some positive reviews. I haven't. When is it coming out? I guess. Where can I see it?
It's out right now, so you can check it out. Yeah, it should be playing at a theater near you. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to say too much about it because it really does rely on you knowing as little as possible.
Okay.
But like I said, easily one of the most pleasant surprises I've had all year at the movies. Highly recommend it.
Cool. I'll check it out.
Yeah. And we also have some trailers to discuss.
Trailers. Yeah.
That's actually not a bad jingle, actually.
It's a rough draft.
It ain't terrible. We'll go with it. Okay, so first up we have the new trailer for Riddick.
All right.
The movie that coaxed Vin Diesel back into portraying his iconic alter ego.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen any of the other films, but my all right was me just being like, okay.
Okay, let's
give it a shot.
Let's play some of this.
Don't know how many times I've been crossed off the list and left for dead. So this ain't nothing new. Bounty hunters.
I've been hunting Riddick for 10 years. He's the most dangerous man we've ever tracked. Bounty's been doubled.
I've come to collect your head in a box, right here!
So yet again, we play for blood.
Okay, so the premise of the Riddick character. Now, Brian, you said you haven't seen any of them.
Including this trailer, in fact. Out of all the trailers we're going to talk about this week, this is the one I have not yet to see.
Okay, so it involves Vin Diesel playing Riddick. I believe it first name Melvin.
No.
No,
Really?
no, I don't know.
Okay.
I think he should
Todd
be
Riddick.
Todd Riddick. I could see that. I'm actually very curious. What is his first name? I'm gonna Google that up really quickly. But now this is surprising to me that this movie even got made because Pitch Black came out in something like 2000, I believe, and that's the first Riddick movie, the first entry in the Chronicles of Riddick, as they're called now. And then in 2003 or 2004, I believe, they made the Chronicles of Riddick, and that tanked big time. So now they're back 9 years later, with this thing here. So my question, even without seeing the movie, why make another Riddick movie?
Because you want him to be in your Fast and the Furious franchise.
Okay.
That's probably why. I'm sure he's like, yeah, I'll be in your next 3 Fast and Furious movies. You need to make my Riddick movie.
So it's a passion project for him, you're saying?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. And by the way, his name is Richard B. Riddick. So that would make him Dick Riddick.
Dick Riddick.
Yeah.
Dick Riddick.
That's either with a name like that, you're either like a futuristic sci-fi bounty hunter or a 1920s PI.
Yeah, exactly. Dick Riddick. Yeah.
Now listen here, son. So that looks like it exists. The Riddick movie.
Well, wait. Have you seen them?
I've seen the first one. I did not. All I know about the second one, I haven't seen it, but I remember Sean going to see it, and he's like, I'm gonna go see Riddick tonight, and I got I was like, oh, tell me how it is, and I remember getting an email from him later that night with the subject line Chronicles of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the content of the email was something to the effect of, we left an hour in, don't go.
I totally forgot. I gave those tickets to him, actually.
Oh, okay.
I remember that. It was
that's
like
why
some
he
sort of
wasn't
special
talking to
screening
you.
that I skipped out on.
Yeah, he wasn't talking to you for like a week. I remember that.
I remember that. But no, I feel like I've heard people say they kind of like the movies.
Okay. Well, I know that
so
people.
I don't know.
I know people like Pitch Black.
You know what? That might be it.
Yeah,
maybe it's the first one.
I think my sense anyway. Not having seen the second one, it's hard for me to say. But my sense is people didn't like the second one because it felt like too much of a tonal shift from number one. It's like rated PG-13, and it's kind of more heavily sci-fi.
Right.
But I've also heard that Vin Diesel is reprising his Triple X role also.
You know what? That you just got to sort of like realize when your time has passed. And I'm not talking about Vin Diesel, but that character. That character's such a product of like 2002.
2002. You know what I mean? It was of that moment specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit, I took a little bit of pride in the fact that it flopped, because the whole selling point was that James Bond is staid and boring and whatnot, and it's like, you know what, Triple X, they should have called it Poochie.
yeah.
Because every line was basically to the extreme.
It was ridiculous, and that's exactly what his thing was. He was an extreme sports badass who couldn't give a crap about anything, but fine, I'll save the planet.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll do it with this snowboard.
That's right.
So dumb.
And then they did the sequel. Do you remember that? A couple years later
with Ice Cube, right?
With Ice Cube.
I did not see that, but having a hard time picturing it.
It's so I get. Yeah, I mean it's It is what it is. That's all I can say. I do hope that if they do another Riddick movie, it'll be called Ridiculous. So I hope this one does well enough to warrant that. I'm holding out for that. Other trailers just released is the Anchorman 2 trailer.
Yes.
Let's play some of that.
We haven't seen you in a while, America. You haven't changed a bit.
I've got liquor breath, and I want to be your friend.
I got a new cologne. It's called Venom. It's pretty much 100% snake venom. Happy Easter. No brick.
You need to say something fun about the movie. We're all saying a little individual thought, almost like a little fun catchphrase.
Always make sure the parents are around if you hug a child.
Just say hello.
Hello.
Okay, so Brian, you're a fan of the first Anchorman?
I'm a big fan.
So how are you feeling about this one?
I am very happy that it's coming, but I'm also a little nervous.
Okay.
Because I love the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's perfect. It's just, the right amount of... It's short enough. It doesn't overstay its welcome. There's like a joke every 2 minutes, and almost every one of them works. And so I'm a little nervous about them trying to recreate that lightning in a bottle. It's possible, sure, but... you can try a little too hard and try to do something that's already been done, and then it just doesn't feel the same, and you leave disappointed.
So you're not. I don't disagree with that, because I think we've had this conversation before where I can't think of a comedy sequel that's not even as good as the original, but just good.
Yeah, it's tough because that's what it is. It's the comedy is the surprise.
The surprise.
That whole element where all the Anchormen meet in that alley and they fight each other with horses and, tridents and things like that. I mean, it was hysterical.
Yeah.
But we've seen that now. And if they do something like that again, it's like in the first one where they had that all-out battle and it was ridiculous. So
right.
But I did see on JoeBlow.com, they had some set pictures, and one of them was Ron Burgundy fighting a shark.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty awesome. That made me laugh. So, there's a way to do it.
My fear is that this will be Austin Powers 2.
Just a retread?
Yeah, it's all retreads, but it'll be bigger.
Yes. Well, that's another thing that makes me nervous, is it seems like every week you hear about a new huge star who's cameoing. I don't know how you
Don't they have Harrison Ford in it? Didn't I
Harrison Ford? Well, that's like, okay, sure. That sounds funny. I could see. He seems like a news anchor, so I could see him.
Well, he played one in that crappy movie, didn't he?
Morning Glory?
Morning Glory.
I didn't see it, but
yeah.
But it's just like every comedian under the sun who seems to be friends with Will Ferrell's in this movie.
Right.
And then that can almost sort of slow your movie down, where it's like you've got to give... Oh, here's, Tina Fey's going to have her moment for, 75 seconds now.
Right.
And now we got to give the moment over to this actor we like. And,
right.
And then it's not really a story anymore. It's more of a showcase.
Yeah.
And I don't really care.
Is Christina Applegate in this one?
Yes.
Okay, she is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad they got the cast back. I'm glad they were able to figure that out. But I don't know. I'm cautious about it because I feel like there's not a good precedent for it to be. It'll be successful, no doubt. We already know it's going to be a hit, but will it be funny? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, with the first film, if anyone bought it on DVD or Blu-ray, what was sort of interesting about it is it came with an entirely different version of the movie.
That's right. Because
they had shot the whole thing and it didn't test very well, so they changed the whole arc of the movie. Reshot. I mean, took the plot. They took the plot out of the film and reshot a new plot.
That's that Good Morning Miami or whatever. That right?
Yeah. Wake Up Ron Burgundy, I think it's called.
Wake Up Ron. What? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it was. It came in like a 2-pack.
Yes,
but that was like a Best Buy exclusive or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're basically seeing the version of the movie that they tested with audiences, but
people didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, so they, reshot, I'm guessing more than half of it, or about half of it,
Wow.
And but they had the time, they worked on it and tweaked it and whittled it into what it became, and it feels that way because it's so tight. So it just makes me wonder where they're, rushing this one. I didn't even know it was coming out this year. It comes out Christmas time.
I feel I did know that actually. But by the way, Brian, I want to interrupt just to make an observation here. We record the show, we chat via Google Hangouts and we broadcast live, so people are able to actually watch the show. So we actually have 2 viewers right now who are watching us as we talk about movies on Google Hangouts.
I'm waving.
Yes. I'm feeling very uncomfortable because I didn't comb my hair. So So that's kind of cool. Somebody. Hey,
cool.
Hey, fella. I feel very self-conscious now. All of a sudden, I didn't put any makeup on or anything.
That's funny.
Moving on, we also have the trailer for a new TV show, which is coming up called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is the new Marvel TV series. Let's play some of that.
Yeah. What does S.H.I.E.L.D. stand for, Agent Ward?
Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement, and Logistics Division.
And what does that mean to you?
It means someone really wanted our initials to spell out S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm clearance level 6. I know that Agent Coulson was killed in action before the Battle of New York.
Welcome to level 7.
What is that?
That's a superhero, Agent Ward. We work the cases S.H.I.E.L.D. hasn't classified. The strange, the unknown. It's not just spy versus spy anymore. The whole world's in on the action.
Okay. So Brian, first of all, have you seen the trailer?
Yes.
Now, what do you think about this? Because I'm obviously, you know me, I wear my nerd cred on my sleeve. So I'm excited. What do you think about this? Is it a good idea, or does it seem very TV-ish in a bad way?
I feel like it feels a little TV-ish.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But when you're making something that's supposed to be a counterpart to a massive film, it feels a little risky.
Yeah. So,
and also, oh no, you go ahead.
No, please continue.
Well, and the thrust of the show is that, you know, a character who died in the film,
right,
that everybody was moved by.
Okay, now that's interesting.
And audiences alone. You know, I mean, the audience and characters within the film are all moved by this death, and then the TV show's like, just kidding. That's risky.
Now, well, okay, so. The character we're talking about, I think we can say it because it's in the trailer.
Yeah, it's in the trailer, yeah.
It's Agent Coulson, who's played by Clark Gregg. And, yeah, his death in the Avengers is kind of, that's like the pivot that propels the third act to some extent, where it gets the crew to band together.
Right.
So, but he was a very popular character.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like bringing him back cheapens the Avengers? Potentially.
You know, I don't know that I care that much.
Yeah.
I can just roll with it.
Yeah.
But I did, you know, I was reading talkbacks, and it seems like a lot of people feel that way.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think they're wrong to feel that way.
Yeah. My interest in this show is obviously just as a Marvel fan, and I think a lot of people will watch it with that in mind. But I'm intrigued by the idea of using this as a mechanism to introduce kind of like third or fourth tier Marvel characters who we would never see in a movie.
Right.
And so you end up expanding the cinematic universe by this little appendage on TV. You know, that could be kind of interesting.
So do you think these characters then will pop in and out of the films?
I could see that being possible. I mean, we'll definitely see Agent Coulson again in the movies. But I don't know how you do S.H.I.E.L.D. and not have Sam Jackson in it. That's, you know, because Nick Fury is kind of an important character as far as S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's my one. Like, are they just going to have some angry black guy yelling voiceover? What the hell are you doing? You're like, oh, there's Agent Fury.
Off camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Director Fury's pissed again, you know.
Yeah. He'll just be a shadow on the wall behind them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That I could see. Yeah.
They should do a scene like in Empire Strikes Back where you see the back of Vader's head and then in his chamber and the helmet comes down. They should do that with the eye patch with Samuel Jackson.
I remember being creeped out by the first time I saw Vader that way.
Whatever.
You didn't find that unnerving, like how he was all like
me too
fried and creepy looking. Yeah, I remember. I think when I was a kid, I thought Vader was a robot. That's my recollection.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh, he's a man. Anyway.
He was a robot. Is that what you said?
I thought he was a robot.
Yeah. No. Well, anyway.
Yeah. So
did I.
Just as an update, our 2 viewers have now dropped down to 1. So one person did not like what they saw. I will blame my hair. It's I look like Yahoo Serious right now. So That's a problem. All right. So that concludes trailer talk, and so let this be the bright red line in the show where from this point on we will be talking spoilers. We will be spoiling the living crap out of Star Trek Into Darkness. So if you haven't seen the movie and you intend to, and spoilers bother you, I suggest pausing right now. If you have seen the movie and would like to hear spoilers, I suggest continuing, and if spoilers don't bother you and you haven't seen it, then by all means continue. I think that's all the bases. I think that's it.
I think you covered it.
Okay. So Star Trek Into Darkness opened just a few days ago, and it is actually somewhat of a box office disappointment, at least domestically. And this is...
Yeah, I just read that right before we came on. That's a little surprising.
Yeah, so that's only part of the story to discuss. Let's first talk general thoughts, and before we get into that, let's give a brief summary. So the Star Trek Into Darkness is, of course, the sequel to the very, very successful 2009 reboot that was directed by J.J. Abrams, which was both a prequel, a sequel, and a reboot of the Star Trek series, which is quite a hat trick, I think. And
yeah.
That was the most successful Star Trek movie ever made, and it seemed like all engines go, no pun intended, for the next one. And 4 years later, here we are. The story is set 1 year after the events of the first film, and a terrorist act sets the Enterprise crew off on a quest to find out who did it. Somebody very close to Captain Kirk, played by Chris Pine, is killed, and before long we are reintroduced to Khan Noonien Singh, who is played here by Benedict Cumberbatch, reprising the role that Ricardo Montalban played in the original TV series and in the very popular, very successful, very well-known Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I have my thoughts on the film, but I have my thoughts as a lifelong Trek head, or as it's known popularly, a dork. So I'll hold those thoughts. Brian, first let's get your perspective on this.
So I am not a lifelong Trek fan. I never really watched it. The show, I had seen maybe one or two of the films. And Zaki, later in life, and we're talking just a couple of years ago, showed me, the original films and a couple episodes, and so
that's right.
And that I think was probably because of the J.J. Abrams film, because
that's
I dug it, and so you got me while the gotten was good.
Yeah,
and you're like, well, take a look at this, and I really enjoyed them.
And specifically, I showed you the episode Space Seed.
Yes,
and The Wrath of Khan, which are the two the Khan centric episodes. So that's just by chance.
Yeah, so I don't have a lifelong love and attachment to these characters, but I do have an understanding of the original take of these characters and their dynamics and all those things. So with that in mind, I really enjoyed Star Trek Into Darkness. I went at a sneak preview, so everybody was really excited to be there. There was a lot of buzz, a lot of laughter, a lot of response, and I felt I was doing the same. I was responding and laughing and really digging it. It's a blast. It's a blast. Like, it's a big, bombastic action summer film. And I know a lot of people are saying, hey, these movies are great, but they're not Star Trek. And I understand that, and I'm not going to disagree with it. But for what this film was, I had a really great time. I thought all the actors did a really good job. Some people are pushed to the side a little bit, but everyone gets like their moment. And I thought, what made this sort of stand out to me was, having seen Iron Man 3, which I enjoyed on a visceral level, I didn't really feel much while I was watching it. But with this movie, I felt like I could get attached to these people and their ups and downs a little bit more. And I think that's J.J. Abrams has always been really good with that, with characters. And I wrote down, because I wanted to remember it, was I put... J.J. Abrams is a great filmmaker, like no doubt. Like he knows how to put together a great film. I feel like he's becoming a better storyteller.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because he's really good at like the sizzle, but he doesn't always, like with Super 8, which I overall enjoyed, but I think we all agreed it didn't come together in the end like it should have.
Right.
But it looked just right. So I feel like with this movie, I don't know. It just felt like with the first Star Trek, it was a lot of fast cuts and a little hard to follow. And, with intention. I think he was trying to sell something that was like a rock'em sock'em, modern blockbuster. But it felt like he was a little more patient this time around. And, the cuts were a little bit slower. I thought the framing was a little more purposeful. And the characters, there's this whole thing with Uhura and Spock sort of bickering, like a little lover's quarrel going on.
Yeah.
And I thought that brought me into the film and brought me along on the journey a little bit more than the first one did, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sorry, this is sort of like scatterbrained thinking, but yeah, I latched onto it and I had a really fun time with it.
Okay, so here's my take. I think that as a cinematic experience, it's brilliant. And it does what it needs to do. I think it's interesting because I've been having these conversations over the past few days, and people are immediately throwing the Trekkie card at me. Like, oh, you're just a Trekkie. And, it's one of these things where it's like, well, I had somebody say this is true. Like I understand that the Trekkies want a coherent story. And I was like, well, I think more than Trekkies want a coherent story, I hope, right. It's an odd way of throwing that at me. But my issue with this is that I think it's a hell of a lot of fun in the moment, but it doesn't necessarily hold up as well as it could. And I think part of that is, in my opinion, the filmmakers outsmarted themselves a little bit because they want this movie to be evocative of the Wrath of Khan and the memories that people have of that, while also being different.
Yeah.
And it's on some level it's frustrating to me because the whole point of the reboot that they did last time, which now this is important because the reboot that they did is not, and this is something I really appreciated and admired about how they did it. It wasn't Batman Begins. You know what I mean? It wasn't, none of that ever happened. This is it. New starting point. Their approach in the previous film was everything happened, everything counts. We found a way to have our cake and eat it too. And what they did by doing that was to say everyone has a place at the table. So Star Trek, is it aimed at the Trekkies anymore? No, we want a bigger audience. But guess what? If you're a longtime fan, there's plenty here for you also. Does that make sense? And I feel like with this one, they start freezing out the longtime fans a little bit, and I get that to an extent. Don't get me wrong, I get it, but I also feel like too much of this movie, it's weird because too much of it is rooted in things that only longtime fans would care about, but they would likely be upset by it. So, for example, the big twist, which has been not at all a twist, really, because it's been all the buzz forever, is that Benedict Cumberbatch plays a man named John Harrison, who is, in fact, Khan, the most iconic Star Trek villain. And they did such a good job of deflecting this that I said with absolute assuredness on this show, of course it's not Khan. How stupid would they be to have Khan?
Right.
Well, it turns out, whoops, right? Because they did use Khan, and they used him, in my opinion, for purely the name recognition, because the version of the character that we get in this movie is nothing like the version of the character who existed previously, and I don't even mean in Wrath of Khan, I mean in the episode Space Seed.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch is an amazing actor, but he can't act hard enough, and I can't squint my eyes tight enough to believe that he's playing the same character Ricardo Montalban played.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And
you're talking in what way aside from looks?
I think the persona of the character. I think that, let me put it this way. I think the character of Khan in the original iteration, who is he? He's this tyrant who conquered half the world, but he's incredibly charismatic. And there's this whole very interesting backstory about the eugenics wars that happened and this whole thing, right? That make that character who he is. Well, what we get here, and you've seen the film, right? They barely allude to his history. Barely. Right. Have you seen the episode Space Seed? Yes. Okay. Have you seen it recently?
Not recently. Okay, but I remember it.
So I mean, that episode hinges around his backstory. Here, it's like, oh, and by the way, like they allude to it, where he's like, I'm better than everybody. Like, I mean, it's not given the weight that this character deserves, right? To which I say, well, why use this character at all then?
Right.
You know what I mean? And this is actually kind of interesting because Bob Orsi, who's one of the writers, mentioned this, and he says that they conceived the story without Khan in it. And this is a quote from him. He says, if you think about it, he could have revealed his name was Shmuko, with a slightly different backstory, super criminal from Federation jail, etc., and that Marcus, by the way, is played by Peter Weller, used him by threatening other people he cared about, family instead of crew, and the story still stands. Well, to me, that's a problem. Because if the character is not essential to the story, then you say, well, what is it? Why have him other than the pure novelty of doing Star Trek 2 and having Khan?
Right.
You know what I mean? But okay, so we have that. Even that, you know what? I'm kind of like, all right, you know what? You're doing Khan. It's a different version of Khan. Okay, fair enough. You know what? Even that, I'm on board with. Where the movie completely lost me, Brian. Let me ask you: can you guess where the movie completely lost me?
I'm not sure.
It's about 5 minutes in. No. It's the point where they redo the climax of the Wrath of Khan.
Oh, okay.
But they reverse it.
Yes.
I mean, to me, I just that's just lazy. It's sloppy.
Well, should we say what that is?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Well, in the Wrath of Khan, it's Spock who has been exposed to radiation and is dying behind glass.
Yeah, he saves the ship.
Kirk. Yeah, saving the ship, and then Kirk is on the other side, healthy, and they have their touching moment where they both put their hands to the glass.
Yeah.
And in this film, it's reversed, and Kirk is saving the ship and exposed to radiation and dying, and Spock is on the other side. Now, in Wrath of Khan, the iconic line from that is Shatner, after Spock dies, yelling, Khan.
No,
Khan.
not after Spock dies. It's actually earlier.
Right?
Earlier in the movie.
Oh, is it earlier?
Yeah, it's earlier.
All right, forgive me.
Yeah.
But I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
But in this film, now with Kirk dying, Spock yells Khan exactly the same way that Shatner does.
Yeah.
In the first Star Trek 2.
Yeah. The first Star Trek 2, exactly.
It's funny. When that happened, I did wonder. I almost wanted to look around and see how people were reacting to that, because that's a pretty bold move.
Right. I mean, to me, you can call it an homage. To me, I don't know. It goes far beyond that, because it's not, what you're doing essentially is presenting that scene, a variation of that scene, and you're relying on you're relying on familiarity. So if you're, again, this is what I said this in my review, that if you're a fan who basically came in with the 2009 flick, then none of this is going to matter. But I do feel like, well, after you watch this, if you do check out Wrath of Khan, you'll be like, oh, well, it would be disappointing, Because I feel like...
What did you think about... Oh, good.
No, please.
What did you think about Leonard Nimoy?
Oh, okay. So Leonard Nimoy, and this plays into all of this, because it's all about leveraging our familiarity with these characters and using that as a substitute for actual character development. Right? So Leonard Nimoy shows up. Yeah, so Spock, old Spock and new Spock has old Spock on speed dial. Right? And he calls him up and he's like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, you ever meet somebody named Khan?" And I'm kind of like, does Spock do this all the time? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
like I can picture him like, "Hey, you ever go to this restaurant? Did it give you food poisoning by any chance?" You know, like just every aspect of his life, you know?
Yeah. Well, that, you know what? And again, I enjoyed the movie. I liked it, and I would recommend it. I'd see it again.
Me too. Me too. I would watch it again.
For
absolutely.
me. Yeah, and I was like, I'm not so sure about the Spock stuff. It's funny he said, "Is he on his speed dial?" Because I felt like he was just there so the audience could know that Khan was a big deal.
Exactly.
And then, sort of everybody got that?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
okay,
and
the original Spock that you all know and love?
Exactly.
He thinks Khan's a big deal. So.
And
I mean,
well,
he's like a cheat sheet. He's like a cheat sheet following
exactly
these new
right.
characters
It's Nimoy, and they do it in the first movie too, but it's not as big a deal because if you notice, like in the first movie, first time Leonard Nimoy sees Kirk, he's like, "James Kirk," and you're like, "Oh, see, he recognized him." See that, and then he sees Scotty, he's like, "You're Montgomery Scott." But here he's like. I mean, basically, this is what this is. This is Zachary Quinto's Spock calls up Leonard Nimoy Spock and wants spoilers for Wrath of Khan. He's that's what it is. That's what it is. And I felt like that was the only thing where it was, it just felt. Well, I don't know. It almost feels like something they may have added. It felt. Here's the thing: you should be, if you're a fan, you should be like, "Hey, awesome Spock," right? And I did feel that, but I'm also like, this is how you use him,
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's like, "Oh, Khan was the most dangerous thing we ever dealt with." I'm like, really? Because you dealt with some shit, Spock. Like, you dealt with like things destroying the planet, and so this is just one pissed off dude, and it sucks. But I mean, come on,
Yeah. And I didn't think about this till after I read your review, but what I enjoyed about watching those original films, the thing that stood out to me was that friendship triangle of Kirk and Bones and Spock.
Right.
And I had no idea that was a thing, but it's hilarious. And it's really rich, and it makes them really funny and interesting. And Spock and Bones sort of compete for Kirk's friendship, in a way.
Yeah.
And it feels like that isn't in these movies, and it's sort of like what you said. They rely on you already knowing those things and applying it to these characters, and so that's what sort of this felt like, where it wasn't Spock learning for himself what a dangerous foe Khan is. He had to have old Spock tell him.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, let's see him discover that.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that in the film, he's like, "Well, how did you defeat him?" Right, and then they cut away. So we assume that Spock is like, "Oh, well, here's what happened. Like, he said his thing was going to blow up, and then the Enterprise wasn't working, and then I had to go down to the reactor room, and I died, and Jim was there, and the glass." Like, you assume he tells him all this. So you wonder if Spock, like 5 minutes later, when this whole thing plays out, is like, "Holy crap, like, this is the exact opposite of what he said." Like, you know what I mean? If he has that moment of like, "Wow, this is so weird," because that was supposed to happen way later. I also wonder if he tells old Spock, like, "So I was having this fight with the Uhura because we were like sleeping together," and if old Spock's like, "What? Son of a bitch!" That never happened, But it's I don't know. I gave the movie a C+. And I've taken some grief for that. In hindsight, I might like inch it up to like a B- because it is absolutely engrossing. It's never boring.
Yeah.
I have like logic problems. The other logic problem I have is so you mentioned it. Kirk dies, and there isn't even like Star Trek 2, to its credit, leaves Spock dead for a little while, at least a movie.
Yeah.
Here it's like Kirk is dead for about 5 minutes. Which, of course, they're not going to leave Kirk dead. But he comes back because it turns out that Khan is full of go-go juice or whatever. His blood is it's an Energizer bunny apparently.
Yeah.
So they pump Kirk full of Khan's blood and he's back to life. So I'm like, so is Kirk immortal now?
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe it sort of thins out when it joins his blood.
Okay, but they've got Khan on ice now. So are they just gonna like whenever anybody dies, they'll just kind of
go back to the Khan?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like eventually
Khan blood.
He'll just run out of blood. And here's the other thing actually, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, not using the backstory. Khan's crew is like 72 people who are all in hibernation. So first of all, total it's like an arbitrary plot point because these are superhumans just like Khan.
Right.
So why didn't...
So that's good. So when they run out of Khan blood, they can go to...
Well, here's the
Ginny
thing.
blood.
If you remember, Kirk is dead, quote-unquote dead, and McCoy's on the horn like, we gotta find Khan. It's like, well, dude, you got 72 other of these guys.
Right.
Right? Why don't you
If the power goes out on the ship, that's bad news. They're all going to melt.
That would be a problem. Consicles, right? Another interesting thing that was brought up to me, some people took offense at the 72 survivors who are, they're the whole reason that Khan is being blackmailed and everything else. Because, obviously in the course of the story, Khan is set up as kind of a Bin Laden-esque figure. And, there's the erroneous thing about how terrorists get 72 virgins when they die. Martyrs or whatever.
Oh, I never even put that together.
Yeah, well, that's a thing that I've seen floating around Facebook where people are very upset. And the interesting thing about that is that the 72 is actually from the original episode. Where it was, in fact, Khan along with 72 other people. And, Damon Lindelof, who, I blame him, actually, for everything that I disliked about this movie. I don't know that that's legitimate, but what the hell? That's what we do on this show, is we blame Damon Lindelof. Sean's not here, so I'll do it on his behalf. But they asked him about the 72 thing, and he says, of course it is a coincidence, because that is a number taken from canon. It was pointed out to us at the scripting phase, the 72 virgins, and that actually gave us pause, because we didn't want people drawing that comparison, but there it is. Which
wow. So it's funny that even in the scripting phase that came up, I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. But
I'm a rational person. So.
It strikes me about how interpretation kicks in and how valuable that is, and that drew my mind to a quote by Nicholas Meyer, who wrote and directed Wrath of Khan. Mm-hmm. And he talks about, this is a quote, he says, art thrives on restrictions and on things left out. Paintings do not move, music has no image. It is in every case the imaginative participation of the reader, the viewer, the auditor that completes the circle and makes it art. And I love that quote because number one, it talks about how you don't need $1 gazillion, and $1 gazillion isn't going to make what you said more, what you produced more resonant. It's how you enable the viewer to glom on, and in that sense, I'm fully willing to acknowledge that I'm in the minority with how I view this movie because I didn't mind it, but I was disappointed. But I mean. It got an A cinema score from audiences. It has something in the high 80s on Rotten Tomatoes. So, I mean, people did like it. People do like it. But how do we explain the fact that it's being viewed, as of right now anyway, as a box office disappointment?
I don't know. I had this one pegged to be one of the biggest ones of the summer.
You did on the last episode, yeah.
Well, yeah, because, the first one did so well, and so many people who weren't even into Star Trek, male, female, young, old, all dug that movie. So I thought everybody would return excited for this one. I don't know.
Now, just to put this in perspective, I mean, it's made $84 million over its 4 days. So this is, nobody's losing any sleep on it, and it will do well once you factor in international and everything else. But I think Paramount was trumpeting, which studios rarely do. So you have to realize when it comes to opening weekend box office, studios like to estimate because they want people to say, "Oh, it beat expectations." So for Paramount to say, "Oh, we're expecting it to make more than 100," they were.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Right.
I would have pegged it for not 4-day, but for 3-day.
Mm-hmm.
I would have pegged it at like 82 or something.
Okay. So it's 4-day is or it's 3-day, excuse me, is 70 million, which is the 2009 movie made 75 million. So over its opening weekend, and that's this is 4 years later, so inflation, and then IMAX, and then 3D. So in other words, less people showed up.
Yeah.
So is it the weekend? Is it 4 years is just too long, or is it that Star Trek has a ceiling with how many people will go see it?
I don't know. Those are all possible.
I mean, I'm very curious.
I mean, it's. My parents, I look at my parents a lot as sort of a gauge, and they never go opening weekend to movies because they want to avoid crowds. They can wait.
Right.
And I remember being surprised that they went to Avengers opening weekend. I had no idea they even love those superhero movies.
Wow.
And they do. Like, my parents, like I said, Avengers, huge movie opening weekend, very out of character for them.
Yeah.
And Iron Man 3, they saw Iron Man 3 opening weekend because they like them.
Wow.
And yeah, and my mom loves them. So I sort of look at it like, well, okay, I mean, that's movie. They got something right because it's appealing to literally everybody.
Right.
So my parents. So what I'm getting at is my parents enjoyed the first. Well, my dad's loved Star Trek his whole life, but my mom liked the first Star Trek movie. And as far as I know, I haven't talked to them this weekend, but they were going to go opening weekend. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was gauging it to be so big. I was like, if you've got my parents going opening weekend to this movie, then it's one of those films that just apparently is appealing to all the quadrants. So I don't know. Who knows?
Now, do you think, because I feel like next weekend is just going to get destroyed because you've got Fast 6 and The Hangover.
Yeah, you kind of have everything covered next weekend. I mean, you got the raunchy comedy and the action flick that's PG-13.
So where's the audience for this?
Yeah. I don't know. This is a stuffed summer. I mean, will anything continue to make, 20 million plus in the weeks to come, or will they just sort of have this huge oomph at the beginning and then just fizzle? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, Iron Man has already topped $1 billion worldwide, so...
Wow.
That thing is a monster. Yeah. So what we were talking about earlier, you can bet he will be back in some way, shape, or form, Robert Downey. Now, insofar
but I will
as...
say that the A cinema score, well, I was going to say that that doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
That everybody dug it. Because, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. And like I said, if I could do anything, I would want a little bit more character building.
Yeah.
And I want to see those friendships that I already understand from the previous films happen again in these films. I want those moments.
Right.
But that said, I mean, there's something very human about this sci-fi film.
Yeah.
I mean, Kirk and Spock and their interactions are very funny and lighthearted, and
I thought
that people can latch onto.
I thought that the mentor relationship with Bruce Greenwood culminated in a very emotional way, I thought.
Yeah.
I wanted more of that, to be honest. I thought it happened too soon. I mean, what the hell? We're spoiling it anyway. Bruce Greenwood plays Captain Pike, who is Kirk's kind of father figure, and he gets offed about 15 minutes into this thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a shame because they set up the thing like, Kirk gets demoted because of his shenanigans, and so Pike is now back on the Enterprise as the captain. Kirk is his first officer, but they don't do anything with that scenario.
Right.
They mention it, and then 5 minutes later, and that's the other thing actually, because at the end of this movie, we're like, thematically speaking, we are right back where the previous movie ended.
Right. Yeah.
And now Kirk is captain of the Enterprise, and off they go, boldly go, right? What made this story necessary then? would be my question. I wonder if it would have been more beneficial to take advantage of the 4 years that we've been away and build in 4 years worth of character development.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to saying it's been static equilibrium,
Yeah.
And to the point about the box office, I wonder if 4 years was just too long. If the audience if audiences need a quick turnaround for this stuff, otherwise they just forget.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I don't know. It's possible. I mean, well, I don't know.
In the 80s, they released 4 Star Trek movies. So basically, it amounts to about one every 2 years, give or take. In the 90s, 4 Star Trek movies. In the 2000s, 2. And it's looking like in the 2010s, 2. Maybe that's just too few.
Yeah.
For something like this. Because when you think about it, it's... this actually raises a good point, because I think the original... Like, the 6 movies starring the original crew were building on 3 years worth of TV episodes that did the work of building their relationships.
Right.
And this, we're relying on the movies to do all of that, so maybe they just need to come out sooner. It's a possibility.
Yeah. I don't know. And it'll be interesting because if... Okay.
No, go on.
Oh, I was going to say it'll be interesting if JJ gets, wrapped up in Star Trek or Star Wars land. Someone else will take this over.
Yeah.
So, that's
that's another point. I mean,
what the feel will be.
First of all, Star Wars is in very good hands from watching this movie. You watch this, you're like, okay, Star Wars will be fine. However, I will say, and I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm kind of saying this now, I'm glad that he's moving on, because it's starting to feel a little bit like Jimmy Stewart in Vertigo, where he's dressing up Kim Novak to look like his old girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like. It's like, I like Star Trek, but can you wear this dress, and can you cut your hair like this, and can I call you Jenny?
And, yeah. He's trying to make it as Star Warsy as possible.
It's right. I mean, and that's important, because I think Han Solo is a great character. Captain Kirk is a great character. They're not interchangeable. And I'd like to see a version of Kirk that's a little closer to the one that we saw, in the the previous 50 years. Hard to believe it's almost 50 years.
Yeah.
But Brian, would you watch Star Trek 3 or the third part of this series?
Yeah, I was looking forward to this one, and I'll look forward to the next one. Yeah.
Yes. Ultimately, I was disappointed with this one, but I'm still optimistic. So to me, ultimately, that comes down on the win side.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this, like I said, I've seen the original films, I enjoy the original films, but I don't have much attachment to them. And so I just went into this and enjoyed an above average, that sounds like I'm diminishing it, like a good popcorn flick. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good popcorn flick, but I totally understand with the history that you're carrying along with you, why you feel the way that you do.
Well, and as I said in our conversation, I mean, just from talking to you, I definitely feel like I could easily, nudge it up a grade, because would I watch it again? Yeah, I would. Would I buy it? Yeah, So at the end of the day, would I? But as we do each week, we have a trivia quiz, and I believe you've prepared some Star Trek questions.
Yes.
Now this should be interesting, because normally this would be me and Sean going at each other. Now Sean obviously is not around, so we're gonna really my goal should be to get as few of these right as possible, because I'm already not looking good. I'm like the Trekkie of the group, so this will be interesting. So let's see how we do here.
Okay. Question number 1.
Yes.
Oh. Do you want an avatar?
Do
I yell out?
Do I need an avatar?
All right, you know what? Forget it. We don't need to do that this week. All right, Zaki. Question 1: how many Star Trek movies are there?
Come on, seriously?
Yeah.
There's 12.
Well, I try to make it, because I know sometimes these like crazy intimate details. And sometimes, so I try to have some really difficult ones. I try to have some sort of easy ones.
Yeah, but that's like you assume
right,
that I'm a drooling moron or something.
Hey, it's the first question.
All right, fair enough. You're right.
All right, so that's good. Zaki, you're off to a good start here.
All right.
Question number 2. Which actor in the original series was missing their right middle finger due to an accident in World War II?
James Doohan, who played Scotty.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he was an artillery lieutenant in the Canadian Army.
Wow.
And on D-Day at Juno Beach, he was hit by friendly fire. He took, hold on, I have this right here. He took 4 in the leg, 1 in the chest, and 1 that clipped his right middle finger.
Yeah,
so
wow.
That is a badass.
Yeah, it is,
right
seriously.
there.
And you can see, by the way, because generally he kept it hidden, so you can't really see it on the show. But if you watch Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, otherwise known as Shit, is actually what it's also known as. It's a horrible movie. Early in the movie, you see him on the Enterprise, and he's eating like a bag of chips or something. You can see that. You can see the missing part of his finger there. So, anyway, go on.
You think they could have worked that into a plot or something?
They should have, yeah. That it got phasered off or something.
Yeah. All right, here's one you're probably going to think is too easy.
Yes.
Question 3. Who was the only character to appear in all 80 episodes?
In all 80 episodes?
Of the original series.
That would have been Spock.
Who played the character Spock? I'm just kidding. All right. Question 4.
Now, the reason that's a question is of note is because Leonard Nimoy also played Spock in the original pilot of Star Trek, which is called The Cage. And this is kind of interesting because this is one of these things that happened once and it just by a fluke managed to happen because it never happened again, which is that they made a pilot called The Cage. It didn't have Captain Kirk, it actually had Captain Pike. So the character in these new movies is not an invention. He actually comes from the old canon. And he was played by...
And is that the only time he appears?
Well,
in the original?
So what happened is they made The Cage, and it stars Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Pike, and Leonard Nimoy's in it. And the NBC didn't like the pilot. But instead of saying, you're done, they told Gene Roddenberry, who created it, they said, here's money, make us another pilot. Which is kind of insane, because that kind of thing never happens.
Yeah.
Or very rarely, right?
Very rarely.
Yeah, so they made another pilot, and they wanted to bring back Jeffrey Hunter, but he, for whatever reason, he didn't come back, and so that's how they invented Captain Kirk. That's how that happened. And now... Where The Cage, the original pilot, comes back into play is that, it existed and they had spent the money. So in order to incorporate it in, they used footage from it as a flashback in a 2-part episode called The Menagerie that had a framing sequence set in the present. And then they said, well, this is the past, like 10 years ago. And that's the one and only appearance that Captain Pike made in the original series. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that they drew upon that for the movies.
Yeah, exactly. And they deepened the character, I would say.
Yeah.
They gave him more to do, yeah.
All right. Well, moving on. Question 4.
Yeah.
Which fictional character, not necessarily Star Trek related, sang this? I'm smarter than you, Hibbert. To the tune of the Star Trek opening. Do you know that?
I
thought you'd for sure get this right away.
I have no idea.
All right, well, I'll help you out a little bit.
Okay.
It's a Simpsons episode.
I heard the Hibbert thing. Is it Homer?
Yeah. Nope. It's the Mensa episode where Lisa joins Mensa and it's Comic Book Guy.
It's Comic Book Guy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. Nice.
No, it's kind of a weird question.
No, that's a good one though. You got me.
All right, so here's you're for sure gonna get this one. Question 5.
Okay.
Who played the voice of the Enterprise's computer?
Oh, that was Majel Barrett. Majel Barrett Roddenberry, who she was married to Gene Roddenberry. She passed away actually just a few months before the 2009 movie came out.
Yeah, and she was the voice of the computer in that film, right?
Correct. That was her last appearance. She was also, she played Nurse Chapel on the original series, and she was also Lwaxana Troi on Star Trek The Next Generation. She was the mother of Deanna Troi, played by Marina Sirtis.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Well, I had a bonus question as a tiebreaker, so we'll just throw it out there.
Okay.
Who was the better captain, Kirk or Picard?
That is a question that can never be answered.
Actually, the correct answer is Star Wars. All right.
That really is like, it's interesting how things go back and forth, because there was a while there where people thought of Kirk as the best captain, and then when Next Generation became even more popular, people think of as Picard as the best captain. I feel like the captain I'd want to be is Kirk, but the captain I'd want to have is probably Picard.
Ah, nice. That's a good answer.
Yeah, because Picard, I would probably survive longer on his ship.
Right.
Because the thing with the Next Generation, you never really watched the Next Generation. The bullshit part of the Next Generation is that they had families on the ship and like pets and like schools for children. Like it was like the Pacific Princess, basically.
What? I don't understand that reference.
That's from Love Boat.
Oh, okay.
They'd go to various ports, and occasionally they'd defeat like an evil alien, but mostly it was just
Yeah. Timmy's falling behind in class.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't. Yeah. Something's happening. They're under fire. It's like I have a PTA meeting I have to go to.
Exactly. That's you're only barely kidding, because that's kind of what that show was like. Yeah. So that was your tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was more of a joke.
Yeah. Well, nice. I got to prove I got to prove that I'm glad I'm married already, because seriously, this is pretty sad. Well, that brings us pretty much to the end of another installment of our show, and got a lot to say for next time, because we got Fast and Furious 6 coming out, we've got The Hangover, and quite a few other things. So hopefully we'll be ready to play in 2 weeks. Brian, where can people find you on the internet?
At everythingbrian.blogspot.com, Brian with an I.
And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/MovieFilm Podcast. You can also find us at moviefilmpodcast.com. And you can also email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. So lots of ways to reach out to us. You can find me at zakiscorner.com, that's ZAKIS corner.com, and also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews, at least during the summer, will be going up every Friday morning, so you can look for those. And also look for the transcript of my interview with Sarah Polley, which is also up as well. On behalf of Sean Coyle, who is absent, and Brian Hall, who is here, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is the Movie Film Podcast. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Welcome, friends.